All right, you guys are live there, and
We're live. Everything that's happening now is happening now.
and I'm gonna shut up. The audio is rolling. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right, cool. We're ready to do this, and I will be getting. I don't have a theme song yet, but I am working on it. So don't fret, guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Totally Local, a podcast all about interesting businesses, characters from the Jersey Shore. It's really about, to me, all the people that I meet and interact with on a regular basis that really kind of, I feel like, love the area and are just really kind of a part of the whole vibe that's going on around here. My guest today is Telly Kostidakis from Big Dog Construction. And we will kind of be diving into, the murky world of contracting, getting stuff done on your house on time, making sure that you're getting kind of what you're paying for, what you're asking for. How's it going, Telly?
Sure, it's going very well. Thank you very much for having me in here today.
Yeah, no problem.
I really do appreciate it.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, the reason the reason I wanted to have you on here is because from our interactions, I know that you're looking out for the best interests of the people you work with. And going back to my initial experiences, as we've talked about, my dad worked construction. He was a bricklayer. I'm sure you could tell by my rough exterior physique right now that I followed in his footsteps. But I had that, experience on it from that side, going to work with him when I was a kid, seeing what he did. But also when Hurricane Sandy hit, my mom's house in Seabright got destroyed. Like it got, as a lot of people did, it was a really intense time around this area. And, dealing with contractors, especially around then, it was a horrible, horrible experience because you don't know where to turn. And people aren't really most people that I don't want to have a bias, but like the people I was dealing with at the time weren't very helpful.
Sure, I definitely understand what you're saying, and that was really one of the main aspects of why I sat down to kind of redesign myself as a contractor. Uh-huh. I realized that I was basically a small fish in a big pond. Uh-huh. And there's a lot of great contractors out there. That needs to be known. There's a lot of great contractors out there. But for as many great contractors as there are, there's a lot of shady contractors out there. And they really came to surface during Storm Sandy.
Yeah.
And that was, it was really disappointing that I was, considered as one of those contractors, and I needed to be able to differ myself from an average contractor. And these were the things that I sat back and kind of thought about. What can I do to be different than my competitors, to be different from the shady contractors out there? How can I give customers that peace of mind, knowing that they've chosen the right contractor? So I definitely understand where you're coming from and how you felt.
So when you're like, what's your approach when you're sitting down to work with somebody? What is your approach that differentiates you from just the average?
It really comes out kind of easy, to be honest with you, because I put myself in the situation of, how would I want to be treated? Uh-huh. And what advice would I want from somebody, in a situation like this, in an area that it's not my forte? Mm-hmm. What would I want? If I went and sat down with a financial advisor, how would I want to be treated? Mm-hmm. Or for anything for that matter. And it's really easy because it's how would I want to be treated? How, when I sit down with a customer, I really look at their money like my money. Mm-hmm. And I say to myself, I'm not going to recommend that you spend your money on something that I don't see a value to. Mm-hmm. More importantly, that I wouldn't spend my money on. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, at any given time, the person can say, listen, thank you for your opinion, but we want to do this. Mm-hmm. And I have no problem doing it as long as it's the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. But I have to at least let them know that I don't see the value in what they want to do. It needs to be the return needs to be there.
Yeah, and that's kind of it's when you break down a project, if you want something in your house worked on, there's a separation between there's the labor of it, obviously, there's the time that goes into planning it out, and then there's if somebody wants a specific sink, if they want a specific bathtub, those are kind of separate. Those are, to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm mostly ignorant when it comes to this stuff, but how do you if somebody's going to have work done on their bathroom, how do you price that out? Are those all included? Are they all one item? Or do you show that to a client and say, look, this is the work, and then here's...
So it's a great question. So what we really try to do is we try to simplify it for the customer. Mm-hmm. What we try to do is we include the things that we know. Okay, the things that are we don't work in the gray area. It's we work in the black and we work in the white. The gray area is the unknown, that if you don't see it and I can't see it, then it's not there until we reveal it. So what I try to do is I will price things out based on the knowledge that I have and what I know. So that would be labor and construction materials. These are the things that I know the costs of. When we go, let's take a bathroom for instance. When I go into a bathroom, I know how much time it's going to take me to do that. I know it may seem like it's rocket science, but it's kind of really easy to break it down.
Oh, it's so scary.
On my end, it's really easy to break it down because I know what my guys can do. So I know how many days it's going to take. So I take that and I add that up. Then I go and I already know for your average 5x8 bathroom, I know the cost of my construction materials, from the sheetrock, the tape, the spackle, the screws, any of that stuff, the waterproofing material. I know what that cost is, including disposal for that size of a bathroom. So I'll include that in with my price. So that'll be basically labor and construction material, including the disposal of it. Because again, I use a 5x8 average bathroom. Things that I don't know that I can't price out would be, for instance, a toilet. Is the customer going to want a American Standard, $200 toilet, or are they going to want to go with a $900 Toto toilet? Are they going to want to go with $10 a square foot in tiles, or are they going to want to go with $2 a square foot tiles? But I can at least help the customer to educate them about what they're looking at, in a moderate expenditure.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things too. Like when people are getting these quotes, when they're having people, when they're having contractors come into their house, it's what are things that a homeowner should do? I mean, getting multiple quotes. What should they look for when they're getting these things done, when they're looking to talk to a contractor about getting some work done in their house? Like, what are the first steps? Definitely
getting some, to find the proper contractor. You need to vet your contractors. Okay, you wouldn't just go drop your child off at any daycare center. You would want to know that you've heard good things about that place, that people have recommended that place, they've spoken highly about that place, they've rated very well on ratings that place. Basically, contractors are the same thing. You're going to want to find the best contractors for what you're looking to do, and you're going to want to pick at least those top 3 contractors to have them come into your home and present to you, whether it's their ideas or listen to your ideas. And an important thing, in that aspect is you need someone that's going to listen.
Yeah.
And
is it weird to be like, to a contractor, to be like, I need references? Like, is it cool to ask a contractor to like put you in touch with other people that have work done, or is that like not a way to go?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. The most important thing is that you feel comfortable with the contractor that you pick before you're even comparing apples to apples to quotes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Once you get it in, once you get a proposal in or a contractor in, you want to ask them. Now, it's different if you found them on certain website or they've been a referral from somewheres. So you've been able to vet them in that aspect, that, you've come in from a referral. I see that you're online. I see that you're on an Angie's List, or I got you from there. You can read reviews about that contractor. you want to be able to find stuff about that contractor, whether it's good or bad. I mean, there's two sides to every story.
Yeah, definitely.
But you want to be able to get information. If you don't have that much information on that contractor, you may want to have some references.
Mm-hmm.
The last jobs that you did.
Yeah, and that's. I think I told you the story about we just got our we just got our roof done at our house. Epic shout outs to my wife for making that happen and dealing with it, because I was really neurotic about it. But I got recommendations from people. I went online, because that's the world we live in now. You go online and you search, and then you read reviews that people leave. And I found somebody, that I felt comfortable with. And then I was talking to my dad about it. Shout out to Pops. Hope he's listening. I doubt he's on Facebook, but he'll probably listen to this later. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know somebody, my buddy, blah, blah." I was like, "Okay, give me his name, give me his info." He met him at a bar, Telly. He met him at a bar. If you want to pick up a lady, go to a bar. But, he's like, "Oh, yeah, he's great. The guy calls me back like I said, I need to get moving on this. It took him a few days to get back. And he might be a great guy. But, met him at a bar, So I went with somebody else that had, good reviews. They had references, and they did a great job, and it got done. Everything seems good. It's been a week, and it's still there. It didn't slide off the house, so that's good. But I think that's really important. People get so overwhelmed. I had a acquaintance of mine who house got ruined in Sandy, and they give a deposit to a contractor, and then the contractor just is gone in the wind. And like, how would one prevent that from happening? Like, if you hand a check to somebody and then they run away, what are you going to do?
That's another great question. That was, if you remember earlier, I told you how I tried to basically reinvent the type of contractor that Big Dog Construction was going to be. Uh-huh. And one of the ways that we were able to do that is I decided that when we schedule a customer, mm-hmm. and we're going to put them on our calendar, mm-hmm. I do a little something that's pretty unusual for my industry. Uh-huh. I don't take any deposits for a week-long job or a 2-week-long job. Now, it's different. If it's going to be something that's going to be a large job where I'm going to be pre-ordering a lot of large items, materials, additions, stuff like that, in all fairness, then I do have to take some, a deposit to pay for that stuff. But in a job that's going to take a week or 2 or even 3 weeks, I don't take any deposits to put you on my calendar. I haven't done anything for you. Why are you giving me any money?
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that we started to do, and that I feel that people appreciate. I wouldn't feel comfortable handing over money to somebody that hasn't done anything for me yet. Yeah. So all we do is the day that we show up with the guys, the crew is ready to go. I've purchased some of my basic materials that I need. I get 25% of the project. So if the project is a week long, I'll get 25% that first day when we get there. We're physically on the job, and the remaining balance when I finish. Let's say it's a week long job. At the end of the week on Friday or Saturday, I finish that job, and the customer's happy with everything. They'll pay me the remaining balance. If it's a 2-week job, I'll take the deposit. The remaining balance on Friday, we'll split that in half. They'll pay me that part, and they'll still owe me the remaining balance for the following week. So the customer is always ahead of me in that aspect. That second deposit that they've given me, I've done enough work to justify that payment at that point. So they're always, ahead of me, and I think a lot of people feel comfortable in that aspect.
What would you say is the reason that, shout out to my mother-in-law. I hope she's out there listening. She had some work done on her basement, and, the contractor told her it would take however long, a week, 2 weeks, 6 months. It got silly. It got to a point where it's silly. Like, what are you guys doing down here, like playing tiddlywinks? I don't understand what you could be doing in this basement for that long. How do you, what could somebody do to make sure that that's not going to happen?
So the first most important thing is obviously asking how long something, project is going to take. The second thing would be to put that in writing on how long that it's going to be, especially if it's a person that maybe doesn't have all the reviews that you might be looking for, but they came in from maybe a friend of yours as a reference, but you're not able to find a lot of information about that person. you want to have that written down, that you're estimating, this is the price that's on the paper, and also the time frame of the job. What happens is it's another. I call myself like almost in essence like a magician. Okay, so I'm a magician that knows how the magic happens with the other magicians. But the crowd, the people, the customers have no idea how it works. So one of the magic tricks of coming in less than some of the other contractors will be things like that you're anticipating, where I'm anticipating sending 3 guys to come in there and do the job. They're planning on sending a guy, maybe 2, to come in there and just kind of stretch the job out. But if you do have that in writing, you can always fall back on that and say that you told me that this was it. You put it in writing that this was how long the job was going to take.
Yeah, and that's the tough part too. Like if it's a friend of a buddy of a friend of a guy of my cousin, like you got to kind of, it's professional. You got to treat it professionally, and you can't let people kind of push you around with this stuff. That's why I think it's really important, to have references, to read reviews, to not find your roofer at a bar, to go out and make sure that there's, stuff out there that references those reviews, stuff like that you could check on. And then just make sure that they're not like steamrolling you, because people will do that. I saw that happen a lot. I mean, eventually, my mom with her house, she did find a good contractor. Rest in peace, because he died on the job. Actually, not to get morbid, but like it was a stressful time for him, and R.I.P. But she found somebody that could actually help, that could actually get it done, and it was good that my brother owns some properties, and he takes care of his properties himself. I refer to it with him. He has his own show called Slow Improvement, because it takes a little longer, especially when, it seems like when there's a time crunch, that just add 10, times it by 10 or whatever.
Yeah, we do it nice because we do it twice. Yes,
exactly.
There you go.
So it was good when he was helping. He wasn't doing the work, but he was there to watch everybody do the work to make sure that they were doing the right thing. It was kind of frustrating to see, these contractors, she was dealing with, a few of them. They'd come in and you'd have to really watch what they were doing. You couldn't really trust them to do the work that they said they were going to do. And it's interesting that you talk about, people kind of, looking at a job and seeing what's there. Just as an example, working with my brother on when I was helping him out, and I finally, what drove me to have my meltdown to help. Shout out to Jimmy, my brother. I hope he's out there listening. We were doing his kitchen, right? And I don't know anything about anything. I know what side of a hammer is on top and what side, anyway. So we're redoing this kitchen, and he's like, oh, there's some moisture here. There's some moisture in the floor. We pull the cabinets out. We pull everything out. Okay, let's pull out the floor. So we start pulling the linoleum out. Oh, it's really wet right here. Start pulling the boards up. I come back the next day, and it's just, you could see the basement, into the basement. It's all pulled up. He didn't know, and I think that that's something I would assume that comes with experience.
It does, but that's part of the unforeseen that I discussed earlier. How I said that we don't work in that gray area. If you weren't able to see it, he wasn't able to see it at that point. There's no way for you to assume that I knew that was there, or that he knew that it was there. But once you started peeling back the layers, now it wasn't gray anymore. So now it was visible that there was an issue. There's an issue that needs to be addressed.
So what do you do in a situation where you price it out? You know what you know, and then something gray, some unknown thing comes up.
Sure.
How do you handle that with the customer? Like, what do you tell them?
You bring it to the customer's attention, and you explain to them, this is what you have found, and you have a solution for the problem. You don't only present the problem to a customer. You present the problem with a solution to the problem. Be wary of contractors that are going to constantly present problems.
Yeah.
Because those are the contractors that are setting you up for, a financial burden, on things. If they come to you and there's a problem that arose, which, listen, it does happen. It does happen. There's things that happen. There's underlying issues. You don't know who was there before you, what they may have done wrong. You don't know what time has done to a structure. So you want to present it to the customer and present the solution. And of course, again, remember that you're doing a job for a customer, and that customer is the one that's going to turn around and hopefully speak about you to someone else for a potential future job
in a positive way.
In a positive way. So you don't want you don't want that review to come back to someone else that I had this contract that started out great, and we came across a problem and it wound up costing me thousands of dollars afterwards. That's the type of thing that you don't want to be involved in. So you come across problems and you want to take care of them as cost effective as possible. Remember, you always got to go back to the fact of, what if they were me?
Yeah.
How would I want it presented to me? Mm-hmm. How would I want it, taken care of? Mm-hmm. And if you ask yourself those questions, it's easy to give a solution to a customer and attach a cost to that problem where it's going to be understandable. And if they say, well, hey, we came across some water damage, plywood, and we had to, change out 2 sheets of plywood. And it only cost me, $3,000. That's a problem. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it needs to be something that, if that person speaks to someone about this or in a profession, that they can turn around and say, yeah, that's, they charged you, $90 for that. They charge you whatever, $80 per sheet labor and material. That's an industry standard. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you're giving the information that is an industry standard out there, that not in a time of, need, that you're banging that person over the head, with that hammer that you don't know which way is up or down.
It works somehow. I don't, As far as I noticed, say on your business card, you have a license number. What are the numbers on there?
So I have 2 things. I have a residential license and I have a public works license. So my public works license is when I was doing like government work, when I was working in housing authorities and stuff like that. You need that license for that. The residential license is something that you need as a contractor. You need to have a residential license to be able to work in the residential field. Which normally is, you put it on a card on your letterhead. You want to have that license on there because they can look it up. A customer can actually go on to to Trenton, to .gov, and look up your license number to see that you're an active contractor, that it hasn't been suspended for any reason or anything like that. If a person doesn't have a license number to present, or even a certificate of insurance, stay clear.
Yeah. So I mean, is it like do you have to have it on there?
Yes, by law you need to be registered with the state that you are working in. Obviously, every state has different things, but you need to be licensed in the state that you're working in. That's some of the problems that what you were mentioning with Storm Sandy that wasn't the case. The reason why you need to be licensed with the state that you're working in, so that you know what the state requires, from you. Yeah. A person coming in from out of state and doing work in New Jersey, for instance, may not be familiar with the laws and regulations of things that you need for that. So that's why it's important to vet each contractor and to know that that they are licensed, that they are insured, so that if something happens, listen, accidents do happen. Yeah. Things do happen on a job. You just need to be able to know that they'll be rectified. Yeah. Number one, in a timely fashion, but number 2, that at no further cost to you as a homeowner.
Yeah, there's no real excuse why anyone, if you're working with somebody and they're telling you they don't have a license number, it's expired, like that's, you just gotta get away from that person, not work with them. Basically.
Of course, because on the other hand, too, that's also not fair to someone like myself or any other licensed contractor that is paying for insurance, that is paying for their license, that is, keeping that up. If someone has been suspended, there's a reason why that has happened, and it's usually not because, they cut a piece of sheetrock wrong. It's usually there's an underlying fact of why that happened or why they don't have that. So. That's why you want to go with a licensed contractor, to know that you have some recourse. If something does happen, there is some recourse on your end that you can either go after that person in a legal fashion of some sort. You have recourse to that.
And along the lines of getting stuff, I think we've talked about this before. getting work done on your house, there's two different ways of looking at it. There's I'm living in this house until I am a pile of dust. I'm going to stay in this house, and this is going to be something that I want done. Then there's somebody that says, hey, you know, maybe I'm going to, you know, this is our house now. This ain't our forever home. So we want to take the value of our house and, you know, possibly raise the value of it. So there's certain things that you could do to your house that are valuable, and then there's other things like, you know, I would imagine, you know, pools are great, but not everybody wants a pool.
No.
That's a lot of money. So, you know, are there certain jobs or certain things that people could do in that instance where if they want to raise the value of their home?
Well, when you're speaking to an educated contractor, they're going to be able to help you with that, because that's one of the questions that I ask. You know, is this your forever home, or is this something that you're looking to stay in for a short period of time and possibly, you know, sell, or are you doing this as an investment property? Because that's important. Not that the work is the way that the work is being done is going to change, but maybe some of your ideas that you have for your project may need to change. So I'll give you an example. I lost a kitchen job because the person wasn't open-minded and wasn't willing to listen to a professional in their field on what the recommendations were. So I asked the person, is this your forever home? They said, no, we want to just, you know, we want to fix it up, and we're planning on selling this thing within a year or two. I said, okay, if that's the case, then for your kitchen renovation, you're not going to want to be specific in the things that you're doing. You're going to have to really let me kind of guide you in these things, because you want something that's going to appeal to a large palette of people that are walking into your home to purchase it.
Yeah.
So what I mean color specific is, if you're saying this is your forever home and you want to go with purple cabinets, by all means, I will install purple cabinets for you, you know. But if you're telling me that you want to, you know, sell this home in the near future, then maybe we need to look at something possibly like a white shaker cabinet.
Yeah, purple cabinets aren't going to do it, folks. If you want to sell your home, not going to
No purple cabinets if you're selling your home.
If you're a Prince fan and you're just digging it, purple it all up.
Let it
Purple
rain.
palette, yeah.
Let it rain.
So, you know, so that's a good point. People really kind of get off course, I think, sometimes.
They do, because you have to understand something. There's an emotional attachment to this. But if you're looking to sell and you're looking to have work done, you need to disengage the emotional attachment to your home and look out for what's going to be in the best value of your home. There's certain things that if you're staying there, you're going to want to do. If you're planning on leaving, you may just want to leave it alone. You know, if this is something that you're planning on maybe selling soon, maybe you don't want to change the kitchen. Maybe, you know, what happens if you do change the kitchen and the person that comes in looks at it and is like, this is not my style. We're going to spend, you know, $20,000, $30,000 to redo a kitchen. Well, you want that off of the cost of, you know, the home.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that you can do. Colors. I've gotten into, I don't want to say arguments, but I want to say disagreements with customers. They want to pick their colors, and they're planning on selling their home. And I'm trying to explain to them, you know, once again, you know, you want to sell your home, you want to go with something that's going to be easy on the eye. Not a lot of different colors.
Yeah.
You know, although paint is paint, again, you want it just the way you want curb appeal. When someone walks in, you don't want them looking at, you know, a specific color that you love. This color mauve, you know, on the wall, or a turquoise blue or something. So these are things that you want to rely on a professional that's in and out of homes, that sees what's in, you know, what's in fashion right now, and those are the things that you want to go with, and that's what's so important of picking the right contractor, because that person should be able to kind of hold your hand through the process of what you're looking to do for your home.
Yeah, and I was talking to my wife about this recently. The idea that, you know, when I look around at a business or I look around at homes now, there's a certain style, and right now it's a bathroom in theory only on my second floor, because the sink doesn't work, the trap like just rotted through, it's off, so the sink's done. The shower, it clogs, and it drips. It clogs and it drips. Nobody's using it. It's just there. The toilet was my first and final foray into home improvement. I thought, I could do this. This is easy. It keeps flushing. So it's got to be this. I changed out the pump, and then I changed out something else. Still flushing. Then this is a good. I don't want to take any. If you don't mind, I'm going to give a little advice to people. The tank, the lid, you got to lay that flat. If it's porcelain, especially, you got to lay that flat on the ground, because if you lean that against something, it's going to shatter into pieces.
Sure, because it's not a squared.
No.
It's not squared edge where it's going to stand. It has a rounded. It usually follows the contour of the tank.
Don't ever lean it against the bathtub and then expect it to not fall over and shatter. Although, side note, Gorilla Glue fixes everything. It's still there. I kind of look at it. It's my one achievement, even though I've completely failed on. So anyway, back to what I was saying. The bathroom, it's there. But it's like not actually working, and when you kind of take into consideration the idea that you're gonna try to save money, you're gonna try to do it yourself. I wasted hours, and I broke it even worse. And that was just the toilet part. Like, I didn't break the tub, I didn't break the sink. My brother broke the sink. But shout out to
family effort.
Yeah.
Shout out to your brother.
Yeah. So
thank you.
This is what my original point before I went on a rant. There's certain styles that come in and out, and it's like, are we in an age where people are going to look back and be like, oh my God, that's terribly dated, or is there ways of kind of preventing that or extending that?
There absolutely is. The modern technology, to be able to go online and look at pictures and look at what's trending. So when I first started, in the business many years ago, polished chrome, was in. And then shortly thereafter, it was, get this chrome out of here. It's brush nickel. We have to have brush nickel. Shortly there to follow with the brush nickel came the oiled rub bronze, and everybody wanted oiled rub bronze. And now it's get rid of that, and we're back to, if you look at the magazines or you look at what's trending, nowadays, which, now going online to be able to look at a lot of these websites and stuff like that, you can find kind of what's trending, look at magazines. And I tell people all the time, I can do two things with answers and materials. So answers are, what do you want to do? And, show me a picture of what you want to do. I can duplicate anything. And materials, as long as I can, get those materials, we can duplicate anything. So what you're going to want to do is your due diligence on what are you looking to do. It makes it a lot easier for a contractor coming into your home if you can help him along, basically kind of get in your head a little bit on what's your style, and that's always what helps me. I'll tell someone, listen, find some pictures of what you're looking to do and show me these things. At the same time, I'll also have an idea if what you're showing me is also going to fit in the budget that we have for what you're looking to do. So that's also, it's very helpful to be kind of prepared, because to go and look at a job and the person says, I don't know. Well, guess what? I don't really know either. You got to help me to help you. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to help. The milk is spilt. I see that, and I want to help clean it up, but you got to give me paper towels.
Yeah. So I mean that's an interesting thing too. I mean, I guess this goes to every time anyone's trying to get anything done, doesn't matter the budget. Now, if I wanted to get my bathroom done, I don't even know what kind of budget I would be looking for. It's sad to say. I imagine a lot of people are like that, where they don't even know. But you gotta, like, as a homeowner, as somebody that wants work done, you can't just go into something with like a American Express black card and just be like, just do it. You got to have a certain number.
Of course, and that's why, again, another good contractor should be able to help, along the way. And sometimes, people will look at me kind of funny when I go in, let's say, for instance, a kitchen, and I'll go in, they say they want to do a kitchen renovation, and I'll ask them, what type of budget are we looking at? Because that tells me a lot. Before I go and I design something and present it to the customer and get them all excited about something that's not in their budget, what have I done? I wasted my time on designing something. I've gotten them excited for something that is not in their budget. So we're back to square one.
Yeah.
If we go in and the customer says to me, well, I have, $8,000 and I want to redo my kitchen, I will politely tell them that that is not going to be enough to do what you're telling me or what pictures you're showing me, that you want. I can at that point give them a ballpark figure on kind of what you're really looking to be so that they give them a better understanding. And it's not the fact that people are stupid. It's just the fact that, just like yourself, you're saying, I just don't know.
Yeah.
It's like coming to your business and I want something from you. I want something designed. I want a website done. I want to pay like $35.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that I'm stupid. I don't know what that stuff goes for. So it's understanding of a homeowner, and as a contractor, they should not be looked at as being stupid from the contractor's perspective. You should just need to be able to, give them the information to help make them, to make an educated decision. So
it's tough too because with my business, kind of as you were saying, people get scared when you ask them what's your budget. Sometimes people get scared because they think you're just going to fill up your pocket with their money, and but it really, you kind of need somewhere to start from.
Of course, and that's why. But you have to understand something. Because you gave me your budget, you didn't just sign a contract with me.
Yeah.
Okay, you gave me your budget. What you did was you're allowing me to build something that's going to fit your budget.
Yeah.
Now I have to present that to you. Now, if you feel like what I'm presenting to you is not worth what I'm asking, you don't go with me. You go with someone else.
Yeah.
So just by doing that, it doesn't mean that you're locked in for any reason because you're telling me what your budget is. It's just if you're telling me you have $20,000, let me try and build you on paper a kitchen for $20,000 of what I can incorporate. Maybe in that $20,000 kitchen, we don't have the budget for a backsplash in that. It all depends on what that budget is, but at least it gives me a starting point on how to start building your design for what you want.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying, and that's why sometimes, people are nervous to do so. But if this contractor, again, is coming in and he's a reputable contractor, give him the benefit of the doubt to at least be able to present something to you. And then if you feel like what you're telling me that it's going to be $20,000 and you're going to, replace 6 cabinets and you're going to give me a Formica countertop, at that point, that's not the contractor that you want to go with.
And that's good. Like, it goes all back to references, making sure they have a license, making sure they're insured, making sure that there's reviews you could read. I talked to my uncle about this. Shout out to my uncle. He has a home in Seabright, and he had some quotes, some estimates done for a job, I think for his kitchen, and the range of prices that people come up when we got estimates for my roof, it was like all over the place. We got a pretty good deal, vetted the guy, everything, but we had everywhere from some people saying it would be like, oh, just $5,000 all the way up to like $13,000, and it's like, where are they just like picking these numbers out of the sky?
So what you're going to want to do is basically when you do for me, I like it also because sometimes I may say to a customer, that you're looking at X amount of dollars for something, and they may look at me like, wow, that's expensive. And I'll say, listen, get some pricing so that you can at least get a baseline of what it is.
Yeah.
Now, let's take a bathroom. You get, you get 3 contractors that come out. And you have one contractor, and he gives you a price for, $6,000. You have another contractor give you a price for, $12,000. And you have another contractor that's, $12,500 or, $13,000. That first person, you're going to probably want to discount that person because how are those other 2 contractors so close to each other?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. And you're going to want to look at the quotes, obviously, to see kind of what you're getting to compare, apples to apples. You're going to want to make sure that, wow, this guy is, $500. He's $1,000 more. Let's look at those 2 quotes and see what he's offering versus the guy who is $500 or $1,000 less. And you're going to want to make sure that it's apples to apples because the more expensive guy may be offering, more.
Yeah.
You got to take it a step further and look at reviews for that person. You got to look at all of that stuff. You got to take it in a whole of what is being presented to you.
And that's part of, the one thing that I get, I don't know, I'm such an awkward nerd sometimes that, I feel like, if somebody's coming out and giving a quote, like, that's just part of the contractor's job to go around and give quotes. I'm I'm not wasting their time in a sense. You know what I mean? Like that's as a contractor, when you're going to a house, you know, to work with somebody, to talk to somebody about possibly working, you know, I think that people have to be comfortable with the idea that even though you've invited them to come over and give you an estimate, it doesn't mean you're beholden to that person. You know what I mean? Like that's part of your job, right?
It absolutely is.
All right, cool.
It absolutely is. You should never feel like you're causing an inconvenience for that person. That's what we're here to do. We're here to come out and do this stuff, and that's why, you know, we take it a step further. You know, like for instance, you're looking to buy a house, and you call me up. You say, "Look, I'm looking to buy this house over here. Can you come out and take a look?" You know, prior to me giving an offer in, I want to make some changes. I want to see if this is going to be, you know, in my budget for the changes that I want to do to be able to afford to purchase this house. Now, not a lot of contractors will come out and do that.
Yeah.
A lot of contractors will be like, you know what, give me a call back when you own the house, and then we'll come back out. I don't do that. You know, if you're in my close proximity, you know, I only work in Monmouth County.
Yeah.
If you're in my close proximity, I'm going to come out and I'm going to take a look. I'm going to take that time to come out and take a look. Because you know what? Maybe this isn't the house that you're going to buy. But maybe the next house that you do buy, you'll remember me that I did come out and I took that time to go over these things with you, even though you weren't the homeowner of the home. You were just looking. But again, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
You know, as a contractor, I need to help the homeowners. We'll hold our homeowners' hands. I'll go from as much as holding your hand through the process to as little as showing up to do the job. It all depends how comfortable you feel. I've had customers that they're self-sufficient. They know what they want. They're going to shop it. It'll all be there. I show up. All the materials are there. I show up my construction materials. I've shown up with people that didn't want to pick a tile. They didn't want. I have done a bathroom with only a color of what type, whether it's an earth tone color, depending on what they want to do. I've done a whole bathroom and I picked out everything.
And they were cool with it.
And they loved it. It was
awesome.
beautiful.
That's me.
They loved it.
When we were picking out the roof, the guy's like looking through the shingles and he's like, "Well, you know, what color do you want?" I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? And he's like, "This is your house, man. You gotta pick a color." I'm like, "All right, let me get my wife. She'll come out and pick." Because, you know, I ultimately, if I'm working with somebody, you know, I understand that, you know, they want me to have some kind of input, but it's like you gotta work with somebody you trust. If you trust them, you know, it is my house. I got to make sure the color is right. But, you know, I like the idea of being able to work with somebody and just trust them to do it.
Absolutely. That's part of being a good contractor, is being able to read the person in the sense of, if I'm sensing that you're nervous about this project, I know that I need to be a little more, you know, not aggressive, but I need to stand out a little bit more and help you along with making decisions. And that's what we do. We'll go shopping. Literally, I will meet customers at a store. Home Depot.
You could say it. It's fine.
Shout out to Home Depot.
Shout out to Home Depot.
I'll meet a customer at a Home Depot. You know, especially my office is right next to Home Depot in Neptune. I'll meet the customer right there, and I will go in through the store, and I will start from the lighting section, which is on the right-hand side of the store, and we'll work our way down the aisles of what they're looking to do and make purchases. We'll write down the SKU numbers of everything, and each thing I'll ask them, "Hey, what do you think? This is what I recommend." I'll give my recommendation. They may say, "Well, I like this one over here." And as long as I know that what they're picking is fine. It doesn't have to be what I like, but at least it needs to be to meet the standard of what we're going to install. I have no problem with that. I want that interaction with them. But we'll go shopping and we'll write down all the SKU numbers. We'll go to the pro desk. We'll go into the bid room if to try to save some money on that. And we'll have the customer pay for those materials, you know, right there and then. I'll set up a will call. We'll pick those materials up for the customer. We go that extra mile for the customers.
Yeah, that makes that reminds me. I don't know. Maybe it's something. It doesn't seem like something that most contractors do. I know that my dad, you know, when he was doing masonry and stuff like that, he would do that. He would bring people to like the stone yard or certain places to look at tile, look at stone, and pick it out. So it is definitely something that is helpful, but it's not something that it doesn't seem like most people are going to do that.
No, they don't. They don't take the time to do that. I mean, we're in the business of customer service. You know, we're coming in and we're going to interfere with your life for a period of time. And we need to be able to do that respectfully, number one, and to make it as easy as possible for the homeowner. And it's very important. And again, it's so simple for me because I always go back to how would I want that to be done? How would I want to be treated? You know, what help would I want if I was doing something like this? So it comes really natural for me because it's just, what would I want in a situation like that?
So you mentioned, too, looking at houses, people are thinking of buying a house and they want you to come check it out. There does come a point where, you know, real estate agents or people looking to buy a home, you know, you have to get a CO. If you didn't know that, people, you need to get a CO. So a certificate of occupancy is very important if you want to live somewhere. It's in the name. And that's something, too, that you've kind of started to offer as far as, you know, people don't really need a big job or they just need these little things that just, you know, I start to go crazy. I look around my house. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at all the things I broke, the toilet I broke. And you need somebody in there, you know, just to make sure, say, for example, for a real estate agent, to get the CO.
Sure.
And that's something, too, that now kind of you saw a need for it, and it's something that you're offering.
Yes, I did. So we were getting phone calls on things that didn't justify sending a 3-man crew in to do the work. And I kept telling people that, you know, after a couple times, it's like, you need a handyman. You need someone that's going to be able to come in and do a little bit of everything, you know. And after I said it enough times, it finally sunk into me. I keep recommending to people that they need a handyman. Why don't I offer a handyman that's going to be able to do these things and stop saying no? You know, part of that is I'm a pleaser by nature. So saying no to people, it's not something that I like to do.
Yeah, you want to help them out.
I don't like to hear no, and I don't like to say no. So I want to help people out, you know, and that's what I did. You know, I found a need for something. I found a problem, and I came up with a solution. And the business part of it will just kind of follow. You know, I heard that from some successful people. It's like, you know, stop trying to create a business. Find a problem, come up with a solution, and the business will follow. So I kind of used that motto in this situation. The problem was people need a handyman. The solution is I'll start that service of a handyman. So basically we started a handyman service that is, you know, it's one individual that'll come out. We do a minimum of 2 hours. So basically it's $75 an hour for a minimum of 2 hours. After that, it's $60 for every additional hour. And every day the clock starts over again. So if you need someone to come out there, like for instance, you know, part of that too is there's people out there, for instance, let's talk about your toilet.
Oh, man.
Since you mentioned your toilet,
so bad.
Let's talk about your toilet. So your toilet, for instance, there's companies out there that will charge you up to, what I've heard on numerous occasions, up to $1,200 to come out and replace your toilet. There's other companies that I've heard that will do it for $500. And I'm thinking to myself, that's kind of crazy that people are being taken advantage like that. Listen, everybody's entitled to make money, but to take advantage of people, that's wrong. That's a crime. I know that we can come in and under that 2-hour minimum that I can change out your toilet in that time frame.
So messed up.
And if there's something else that needs to be done, I can take care of it. If I can get it in the 2 hours, it doesn't matter, you know, to me on that aspect. If you need me for just the 2 hours, it's fine. If you have a honey-do list around, write it up. We can come in. We can give you a guesstimated time on what something like that's going to take, and you only pay us for the time that we're there.
I mean, and that's kind of important too. Like in my line of work, you know, when I'm describing what I do to people, I tell them, like, look, if there's something wrong with your plumbing, you hire a plumber. You know, if there's work that needs to get done in your house, don't, unless you're super handy, or unless you're like my brother who is super handy. When he does something, it's done, but it's going to take so much longer. But when it comes to this stuff, like I think sometimes people got to really consider the time versus the money. The money they're going to spend to have somebody, a contractor like yourself to do the work, or are you going to actually take this time to figure out that you don't know what the heck you're doing out there?
I was just on my way over here. I was on the phone with one of my childhood friends. Shout out to Craig.
Craig.
Shout out to Craig Goldstein in Sarasota. And that's what we were discussing. He's considering flipping homes out in Sarasota. Now, I've opened up a big dog contracting in Florida.
Expanding.
I mean, we're expanding. So we are a licensed contractor in the state of Florida. And he's looking at flipping homes. And I was trying to explain to him is that I have the people, in place to do these things. And you need to consider a couple things, with the cost of what it's going to cost you. Whether you're purchasing a home and you have a mortgage on that home, or you've purchased it outright, you have money out on the street at this point. So you're going to make another mortgage payment. You're going to pay the taxes. If you've put your own money out there, you want to recoup that money as soon as possible. So by hiring people for less money to drag this process on is not in your best interest. You want to hire someone that's going to come in, they're going to do what needs to be done, they're going to turn this project over, you're going to put it back on the market, you're going to sell it, you're going to get your money, and you're going to move on to the next project. So, it's you don't want to be foolish with the decisions that you make that, I can do a couple of these things. I can't tell you, like, simple stuff, for instance, like, let's take painting. It's a pretty simple thing. I don't like doing it.
No.
It's a pretty simple thing, but I can't tell you how many homes that I have walked into that a husband and wife or a boyfriend and girlfriend have moved into a condo or a house, and they think it's going to be awesome. They're going to go to their local store, and they're going to buy their plastic paint trays, and they're going to buy their inexpensive rollers and their roller handles and some throwaway brushes, and they're going to start painting their own home. It doesn't work, and it doesn't last, and it's not worth your relationship. It's not worth your relationship.
They don't make it. Those relationships don't make it.
They don't last. I come in, and there's tape falling off the ceiling. There's paint on the floor. It's a complete and utter mess. They've purchased the wrong paint, so they've spent money on all these things. You take all that time that you've invested. There's a value to time. You take all the money that you invested in buying all these non-professional tools to do the professional job. You put it all together. You could have had this room painted and been much happier. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I mean, listen, I'm a contractor. I don't paint in my own house. It's not something I do every day. I don't have the patience like I used to have to be able to cut a nice straight line. I have my guys come in on downtime, and they'll do the work in my own home.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, which leads me to I'm coming up with a new segment on Totally Local. It's called Totally Local on Location. And what I propose to do, I'd like to work with you, Telly, on this hideous bathroom I have, and I'd like to videotape and record the process so people can see what it's like to have something done, in an easygoing fashion. Obviously, it's work. It's a lot of work for you, but just to show the whole process so people could kind of understand that. And I really want to thank you today for taking the time to come down and talk to us. I hope people enjoyed it. If there is any comments, as always, we'll go back through them, and I'll talk to Telly, and we could see what the answers to any of your questions would be. But thanks a lot, Big Dog Construction. And thanks to Ming for setting this all up as
thank
always.
You, Ming.
And again, thank you so much for coming in.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, everyone have a great day. Until next time, this is Totally Local. Goodbye.